Tiwi Beach to the Indian Ocean.
In premium class, we have flight Green and Chip-Chop. My name is Rhoda Royman, we are flight captain.
Hope they can hear us.
And I'll also be in charge of the entire cabin service on this flight.
Continental.
All the crew member are on board for your
Guess what
safety and
continent
comfort.
we're in.
If there's anything else we can do to make your flight more comfortable, do not hesitate.
So around the middle of December, we decided to take a trip out to Mombasa. This is the December of 2006, and I was visiting Dayn in Kenya. And so we took a trip out to the coast, to the Indian Ocean. And so this is us making our way through Mombasa. It's a pretty intense little town because it's been around for a couple of thousand years, and so there's a lot of history there. So you kind of drive through the downtown area, and there's a lot of just really narrow roads that really weren't designed for cars to drive on. And if you listen, you can hear there's some pop music going on in the back. And Dayn and I both decided that, by the time we had gotten done with our trip around, we had listened to more pop music in Africa than we ever did in the United States. So this is Mombasa. The actual city is kind of an island. And so to get from the island to the mainland, they had to take these ferries. And so there's 2 ferries running all the time, and they are just absolutely packed, as you can kind of see. And so we ended up waiting for quite a while and then made our way onto the ferry. And then we watched as just a bajillion people came and loaded themselves up on the boat and headed over to the other side of the river. It was pretty funny watching one of them come over because we could see there was only one white guy on the entire thing. It was pretty funny. So this is on the other side, and the further you get away from the center of the city, the more impoverished it becomes. Yep, this is what happens when you have too much free time and too much money. The rest of the scenery is nice. So Dayn, explain to us where we are.
Mombasa. We're on Tiwi Beach, south coast of Mombasa. There's no hawkers right here, so it's quite pleasant. This is the Indian Ocean in all its glory. Quite nice. The water's warm. Watch this. I don't have to wait to get numb. It's just very nice.
For a couple of kids from Alaska, it was pretty interesting to be able to go in the ocean and not just, freeze your buttocks off. And so even just stepping into the water was a pretty interesting experience for us because we hadn't really experienced a warm ocean all that often. This young man's name was Soliman, and we met him on the beach. Just at Tiwi Beach, and he was just out there fishing with his friend, and he was kind of showing us around. He was showing us some of the eels and some things around there, but he also was telling us that he had some of his middle schooling paid for by UNICEF and some other groups, and that he was hoping to be able to get the money together to go to high school, which was kind of interesting for us to hear. So on the beach around high tide, all these crabs start coming out, and if you look at my blog at danarnold.blogspot.com, you can really there's a picture of me with one of my glasses lenses off, and actually I was shooting all of this while I was doing that.
There's a bird on that one.
So when we were at our hotel, we wanted to make our way out to a particular animal park, and so we asked the people at the front desk whether that would be possible to do, and we ended up talking with one of the guys. I think he was a porter there, and his friend had a taxi, and he said that for a fee his friend would be able to take us around the park all day. So we ended up spending, I think, probably 9 hours. These guys, we got lost at the end, and it was a pretty bizarre experience just going all around with a couple of strangers. So where are we, Dayn?
Shimba Hills National Reserve.
So then we just kind of randomly ran into this group of tourists. They were all German speaking, so we were the only English speakers in the group. And they were going on a little walking tour, and they had the guide with the gigantic gun, and we were going on to this waterfall. And we were really hoping to see some animals, some sort of wildlife, because that's kind of the reason that we were there. And there was nothing but our taxi driver with no pants on. And so then we took a little trip back out, because the animals don't really come out during the middle of the day. This is a little rickety bridge that's attached to a hotel that's all made out of these kind of black logs. And there's monkeys around, and lizards, and fish, and eagles, and all sorts of stuff kind of around this watering hole. And the idea is that elephants come out there and will water at night when it gets cooler. And so it's a pretty amazing hotel. It would be really expensive to stay there. But yeah, so we went there, and they had some lunch, and we ate some of the lunch that we had stolen from our hotel at breakfast time. And yeah, it was sort of funny, out of the way trip for us for that day.
I'm gonna try to touch it.
Careful, careful, be careful.
That's haughty. That means danger.
Thank you for kindly talking softly. So then we headed back to the park.
There's his butt. It's my taco.
This is the matako. It's different.
Yeah. Okay, watch out, Dana. This is gonna be a really boring video. I'm just zooming in and out. Yeah. Come on, giraffe, move! Here's Shimba Hills again. That's not a Shimba Hill, that's a person. So is that. And so is that. Hello!
With my friend 50 cents here.
50 Cent in Kenya! Woo!
Mega for nothing. It's really mega for nothing.
We didn't say it, we didn't say it.
To me, baby.
We like you, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So these guys ended up knowing more about American pop culture than we did, probably. And that is by far the largest insect I've ever seen. There's a millipede. It's probably about 1.5 feet long, and as big around as like one of those Costco kosher dogs. It's just huge. It was pretty incredible, actually. Speaking of incredible, some of the roads around there were pretty horrendous, which was really fun. I kind of wish that I'd been allowed to drive, but anyway, on our way back out of the park, we started getting lost, and we found one of the gates to get out, but it was on the total opposite end of the park, and we didn't really know where we were, so he had to stop and get out and get some directions from some people at this house here. And so it turned out that one of the guys who lived at the house got in our car with us, and we took him to the bottom of the hill, and he told us which way to go, and then we paid him, and then we got directions from some guys smoking pot on the corner, and it was just a really interesting trip for us all around.
I wish you all Merry Christmas.
So by the end of the day, we actually did manage to get our way back home. I think we had to go, it was 9 hours with these guys, and it was really, really fun, and I highly, highly recommend people just getting off the beaten path and trying something a little bit different.